If you want to get into mining, this is your last call. I don't think that mining is going to be viable for the average person after this cycle. And I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that, why I think mining is still a really good opportunity, but also why I think that this is going to be the last good opportunity for mining if you don't have a bunch of capital. And this means a lot to me because I wouldn't be into crypto. I wouldn't have, potentially ever made financial gains without getting into cryptocurrency in particular. And it was crypto mining that I entered into crypto with, and it gave me confidence that, well, even if this digital coin thing goes to zero, because it wasn't believed in like it is these days, at least I have this hardware, right? I have something tangible. I have something that I can sell, and it's not just a number on a screen. Now, I've spent a lot of time making mining content on the VoskCoin YouTube. I've spent a lot of time building the VoskCoin mining farm and documenting that process. And I'll just say it again, mining means so much to me. And that's why I'm a little upset. I'm a little worried. And I really just want to break this down and share why I feel this way and some of the data I have to support that. So let's break down this one thing in particular, right? So every year, mining coins becomes more and more difficult because generally speaking, more miners start participating, mining farms get bigger, and mining equipment becomes more efficient, right? So you get kind of more density in that mining hash power, but if you have really low electricity rates, you can still use older hardware, and there is a bit of, decentralization and diversification that happens there. We go back to like 2016, 2017, you could get best-in-class Bitcoin miners, Litecoin, Dogecoin miners, and I'll talk a little bit later more about GPU mining and CPU mining, but you could get the ASIC miners, which are the purpose-built custom computer mining hardware, for like $1,000 to $2,000. And these things were profitable. They were earning much more than they were burning in electricity. And what was exciting is, to be honest, you were mining large quantities of coin. My S9 is mining me about 0.003 Bitcoin per day, and it is December 28th right now. That comes out to, on the current Bitcoin price, Bitcoin's at about like 14.5K. That's making me like 42 bucks and some change a day, which is pretty phenomenal, honestly. That's a very impressive figure. I'll make my money back on this investment in just a little bit over a month. Now, these same devices, to be honest, sometimes have 10x'd in price with similar mining profitability. And mining manufacturers have gotten so greedy. And now there's all these publicly traded mining farms, right? It's different when you're an individual and like you're putting your money in and your risk tolerance with that. When you're running a mining farm and you're playing with other people's money and you're just kind of at the helm, you operate very differently potentially. Sometimes that can be very advantageous. Other times it's not, and it just results in people spending a lot of money that if that was their personal wallet, they wouldn't be doing.
Fun coupons! Yeah? A fun coupon!
That continues to push out the little guy, right? The average person, like say me or you or whatever you want the average person to be, it's harder to compete on an individual basis. I will never, just realistically, I will never sink a $100 million mining order, right? But these big publicly traded mining farms can, will, and have. So the mining manufacturers get greedy and they focus on the big sales, and they can jack things up because they want it and they're more aggressive, or the competition is just not great. There's a lot of ASIC miner manufacturers, kind of. It's the illusion that it seems like it, but we look at, just to rattle off a couple, right? We have like the big Bitcoin miner manufacturers, Bitmain, and they also lead really altcoin mining there as well. And then also MicroBT, right? So then we have the smaller manufacturers like Gold Shell, IB Link, Ice River, this company called Dragon Ball. I wonder where you got that name, popping up. But like those guys basically more or less have the same chip designs. So we've got 4 companies that are using what's essentially the same chip in their miners for many of these different cryptocurrencies. You could act like, oh yeah, we got 4 of these options. Dude, it's one option under 4 different names. So there's really not that much competition, even though there's the illusion of more competition right now than there really is. That results in the common tragedies of the well, or whatever that is, where basically if it was just your personal well, you would treat it differently, but because it's a community well, you take as much out of it as you possibly can, because if you don't, someone else will be doing that, and it puts you at a disadvantage, or it's just ripe to be taken advantage of. And what that means, what I'm trying to say there, is they're going to sell as many miners as they possibly can, because there's these other people with literally the same design, and some of their competitors like Bitmain actually have a better design. And they're just going to sell as many as they possibly can, over and over and over and over. You think a monopoly is bad. That's true to an extent, but the competition isn't really, in this manner, with the way these foreign companies operate, it's not that great for us either. It just seems like a race to zero. And it just wasn't really like this before. There were some, egregious miner sales that happened, if you were here back then or remember it or learned about it. The Bitmain Antminer D3, where Bitmain sold so many of these that they went from being the most profitable miner you could get to like no one ever making money. First batch buyers and second batch buyers did okay. Third batch buyers maybe did okay, and everyone after that never made their money back on those machines. All right, guys, so it's been 2 weeks, and the profits on the Antminer D3 have been decreasing rather rapidly. I knew they would go down, but honestly, I did not anticipate them to go down this fast. I also get the question of, I ordered the Antminer D3 in the November batch. Am I screwed? You might be screwed. It was nasty. And they could have run the numbers and known what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. It was a gold rush. They were selling shovels to the gold miners. They laughed all the way back to Bitmain Bank. And very few of those miners struck gold, if you will. In this era of mining, we see more miner model releases than like ever before, which is weird. We see more coins mined than ever before. The ASIC chip designers, the engineers, they figured it all out. There's no algorithms that are safe. Not really. There may be some that they haven't bothered wasting their time on yet. Many are smaller tweaks that make it a lot easier to flip over and do this and do this. But I mean, it's every month we see a new coin, ASIC mined. We see new models for many different cryptocurrencies, right? I mean, just in the last year, we've watched Caspa become ASIC mined, putting out million plus per day in new coins. And then a new model that's better than it comes out. And then another new model that's better than that comes out. And then another new model that's better than that comes out, and they also slash the price by like 66%, resulting in just a rush in hope just to try to break even on most of these mining devices. Over the last year, I've acquired many miners. Just wait for that guy to pass. Before, I had to worry about like cars passing by and the noise that they made, but now I'm out here in the sticks and I got to worry about planes and a little bit of helicopters. But what I'm trying to say, right, is that I've acquired so many miners, I've purchased so many miners, I've deployed so many miners, and I've really just been trying to break even on most of them. I've had to deploy the model of mining and holding coin to have a more advantageous route of breaking even and then hopefully turning a profit. And it's just been all over the place, where many miners are so expensive and their profitability is dropping so fast that it is so hard to actually run a profitable mining operation. And of course, a cheaper electricity rate's always better to pursue that. But the point is that it just didn't used to be so hard. To be honest, it was more about being bold enough to grab these rigs, and if you bought them and stuck with them for a while, you normally turned a profit. But it's just been different this past year. And maybe it's miners betting on the market getting really hot soon, and it hasn't. Maybe it's also manufacturers doing the same thing. I know myself, I got really aggressive over the last year, even though I'm very financially exhausted, because I'm thinking, statistically, we look at the cycles, like it's gotta be soon. It's soon, right, guys? Like the pump, it's coming, right? It's we're gonna take off, and it hasn't. And then you're in these rigs, and then they come out with new miners that replace those. And well, looks like that aggressive move wasn't quite worth it then anymore, was it? Just trying to. Now I got geese flying by making a bunch of noise. Can you see that? I've always loved that quote, "Fortune favors the bold." I know that they ran that crypto ad that kind of made that a little lame, once it goes like mainstream, right? Especially like in the sector and things like that.
What does Matt Damon say on that Bitcoin commercial? Fortune favors the brave.
It's also like nothing ventured, nothing gained. And that's very true. Also, like a lot of brave people die. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, but you could also venture and get so I'm in a tight position with my mining operation, and I'm a medium scale miner, I guess you could say, and I have an electricity rate between 7 and 10 cents depending when and where I deploy my mining rigs here on the farm. It's a little convoluted, but that's the gist of it. I will say, like on the topic of home mining, that it's nice that there are manufacturers that are still focusing on small, efficient miners for at home. Right? You got like the little Ice River miners. AlphaPex is coming out with a little at-home Dogecoin miner that has pretty good efficiency. Better than like the Gold Shell at-home miners. Gold Shell's really been lacking in their efficiency, and their prices have been just too high on everything. One of the worst miners I've gotten, from a price and then its actual return and performance point of view, was the AL box. Those were grossly overpriced, and that's never gonna break even unless the coin at mine pumps and I'm holding the coin. But you shouldn't have to make it out that way. It should break even in real time, ideally, or whatever you want to call it. But the point is, though, that even those miners are costing thousands of dollars. I just don't know if I would have gotten into mining today if I was in the position where I was, years ago. Spending thousands of dollars on a speculative miner from a company you never heard of, hoping you get the device, hoping that you make your money back and everything. It's just it's so risky, and that's where GPU mining was so beautiful years ago. It's trash now. And it's gone. So everyone can just put that dream to bed, because there are so many data centers that are just chock full of graphics cards and are continuing to be built out and expanded because of all the AI compute that's needed. GPU mining is dead forever. It is gone. Multi-purpose hardware mining is essentially dead, right? There's CPU server farms, GPU server farms. Hard drive mining's been a bust time and time again, unfortunately. And I think hard drive mining as a technology is cool and interesting, but the Chia stuff has been a poor return, which sucks. Years ago, there wasn't all this existing hardware, and if you don't get what I'm saying, let me make it very clear. With all of this existing hardware deployed and at the fingertips, like it's just sitting right there behind the keyboard for someone, if it becomes so profitable to be GPU mining, they will flip it over from running AI compute and all these other things and being rental hardware, whatever, to mining, right? That's what will happen. If you don't know, you weren't here then maybe. Ethereum used to produce more money per day than Bitcoin in mining. It was incredibly profitable and lucrative. It left such a vast gaping hole in the GPU mining ecosystem. It literally never recovered, and it will never recover, because there's all this existing hardware and all these big businesses. Well, they're smart enough, they pay enough attention now, and crypto's not so obscure or weird that they won't dip into it. They'll suck up that mining profitability if it becomes noteworthy. Really, it'll probably happen before then. The only interesting route, and we'll see that there's got to be a project that actually makes this accessible and deploys it in a good way, but the possibility of building your own little GPU mining cluster, and they have a project that incentivizes renting out GPU and CPU compute, so forth, through it, and that actually gains real traction. That could be a lucrative way to get into multi-purpose hardware again, but there's so much money in the sector and stuff. I don't know, to disrupt that $1 trillion industry at this point. I mean, it would be quite a unicorn company. And statistically, we're just not going to see that. We may see some project pop up and try, depending on how the numbers fall. I may give it a spin, But you look at that pragmatically, it ain't happening. To round out, you know, my rant here, I guess, if you will, is everything is trending this way. It's been trending this way. Nothing is disrupting it or sending it any other direction. And so after this cycle goes crazy, hopefully, and hopefully I have enough existing mining hardware where it's super lucrative, because once things take off, everything's going to take off in price, right? You know, a miner that costs $1,000 today will be $3,000-4,000 next week. The $10,000 miner will be $50,000 miners. Like the prices are absolutely ridiculous and absurd. And I need to be in a good position before things go crazy. That's what I've been saying to myself all year. I've been putting my money where my mouth is. But man, we really need this stuff to take off before my whole position becomes obsolete and they come out with new gear. And, you know, it's a swing and a miss. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But the point is that after things go crazy and after things take off, hopefully, it's going to be a rich man's game is all there is to it. And it's just not as interesting to keep playing on that front. I've got a medium-sized farm, and I'm looking to, you know, get a unique edge with solar, so I'll kind of see where I can take this and where I end up. But my end game is basically to deploy solar, and then to only run as much of my farm as I'm generating in electricity there. So, right, so if I'm running, if I have a solar array that can power 50 miners, then I will only run 50 miners. I don't care about it, X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm trying to play that real life money cheat code, can't lose scenario. You know, put me in the game, coach. I don't know. I'm Vosk on the VoskCoin YouTube channel. We'll close this out now with 10 seconds of Tails, who of course is our CMO, our Chief Mining Officer. We run 10 seconds of Tails in every video. Why? Because she's cute, and she actually kickstarted the VoskCoin journey. If you go way back, went into the archives, and you know, that was back in 2017. We've been making videos ever since, documenting my crazy crypto journey for what it's worth. And I just hope you like the content. Subscribe if you do, and subscribe if you don't. Hey, you want to buy a mining rig? Do you want a pretty good price on it and pretty fast shipping? Then you may be looking for ASIC Marketplace. Click our link in the video description below to not only support our channel, but support yourself with the coupon code we've got right next to it.